I have a keg beer system. You may have something similar. This happens to be for 2 kegs instead of 1. I have an empty spot in there. Got my CO2 tank, got my adapter for the beer keg, and I removed an empty keg here. I've emptied it out and rinsed it good, and I'm going to turn it into a soda machine. A few parts you may need. I'm using 3/8 inch ID tubing, 9/16 OD. Here's some 1 inch tubing. I have a garden hose adapter. You'll see how that's used shortly. And I have an extra beer tap valve. Most importantly though, I have a bib hose connector that I got from this company here. Another necessary ingredient, of course, is the kind of soda that you are interested in making in your Kegerator. This is a 5-gallon bag in a box, BIB they call it, from, believe it or not, I couldn't believe I found this at Sam's Club of all places. This was $66 for 5 gallons. And you don't normally see it at Sam's Club, or I never did for years until I noticed it's up by the service center, at least in our local club. So be sure you go up by the service center and look for a rack of boxes. They've got different flavors. I think they might all be Coke products though. As I mentioned, I've done this before, so I do not need to rinse this keg out. However, when I untapped it from the Kegerator system, I can imagine it's still under pressure. So I've rigged up my hose with the bib adapter, the red bib adapter on the right side, and a regular spare tap for regular kegs on the left side. So this is going to connect a direct line from the keg, and I'm going to dump the red thing in the sink to let any pressure, possibly syrup droplets, whatever, to escape. Okay, let's see how this is going to work. This is the pressure relief valve, so that'll be closed anyway. Oops, I got this handle. This has to be in the up position, of course. Alright, so not much comes up here. There's a check valve in there that doesn't let much through except for liquid. So there's no liquid in there anymore, so I'm going to release the pressure here with the pressure relief valve. That's letting the excess CO2 out of the tank. We need to have all that pressure released so that we can pour syrup back into the barrel. Okay, for a 5-to-1 ratio, I've calculated that you need about 2.7 gallons of syrup for a 16-gallon keg. It says 15.5 gallons on it. I assume they have a little bit of an atmosphere of CO2 on the top. So I'm going to call it 16 gallons of liquid total, so 2.7 gallons roughly. You can measure that out and with a funnel. It takes quite a while. I've done this before, so I'm just going to start the syrup flowing, and I've got a bathroom scale there that will tell me when it's at about the right level. I'll drain it down to probably 15 pounds. It weighs 42.4 pounds right now according to my bathroom scale. Okay, so now I'm just going to scoot the barrel over from the sink area, pull off the cap of the bib, the bag in a box. This is the special connector that we saw before. You see the syrup flowing? It's been flowing for about 5 minutes now. You don't really have to worry about overfilling it because it kind of comes to a stop on its own. So you could take a weight measurement, which I don't have to do now. But you do need to release the pressure that's built up when the syrup goes in. You can see it flowing faster now. Close the valve. It runs for a while. You can walk away, go watch some TV, come back, give it another shot if you think it needs it. I think this is a little bit better than the method of measuring. I will just give it a check now to see how we're doing on weight. It'd be better to use an old mechanical scale instead of a digital one. This is likely to air out as anything. 33 pounds. It was 42.6 originally, so we've actually taken quite a bit of syrup out of here. This has probably been about 7 minutes now. Okay, time's up. So I've stopped the flow of syrup. Just release the bib connector. You can see there's a big arm in the way. Okay, this is not draining in here because I got too much pressure. So you have to push the little button in the middle of the connector to release the vacuum. And down she goes. There we go. Okay, time to shift gears and put the water in. So we're going to take off this fitting right here. Don't need our hose bib system any longer. This comes off. Okay, we're going to put our male hose adapter into this hose. Use the cable clamp, hose clamp I mean. So we got the male adapter in there. I had a hose clamp to fit this end. I'm just going to jury rig this by squeezing this on top like this. Bingo. Okay, so I have connected that hose up to the keg. And I'm going to just turn the water on, and we're simply going to fill the keg with good well water. If you're really fussy, you might want to filter it. Again, we got the same problem with the air coming out, so I'm going to just pull a little ring on the pressure release valve. Once every so often. And it should only take a couple minutes to fill that, 16 gallons. So how do you know when it's full? Well, you'll get, first of all, the pressure relief valve will pop off on its own a little bit, and you'll see a colored liquid coming out. And it's full. Now, there's really no atmosphere of gas over this at all, but I think when I did this last time, I did the same thing. I filled it totally to the top, so I figure it's more than 15.5 gallons, probably 16 or so. But the carbonation, just put a CO2 pressure on it, seems to be enough. I'll show you how I do that in a minute. Now comes the hardest part of the entire operation. For me anyway, given my age and strength, putting a 16-gallon keg in a refrigerator when no sons are nearby. Next step is tap it. Tapped. Open up the CO2. I'm going to turn the gauge up to as close to 40 pounds as I can get it. I guess you can get regulators that have higher pressure relief settings, but I didn't think of that when I bought this one. Okay, we let that sit for about probably 2 days, I'd say. It takes almost that long to cool it down good anyway. One thing I forgot to mention is when I'm filling it with water from that garden hose, of course the pipe in the keg goes to the bottom, so the water is percolating through all of the syrup, so it's mixed up really good now. The thing you might have the most trouble with is getting that adapter. So once again, the company name is chicompany.net, and I've confirmed the part number is 15T07123IH. Okay, thank you for joining me in my final test. It's been about 36 hours since I charged up the keg to 40 psi. It's been sitting like that ever since. I'm going to give it a try here. Wish me luck. Not much foam because I poured it down the side of the glass and there's no ice cubes in here. I can go about 8 sips without it becoming painful. So that tells me it's got a little bit more to go. I think another 12 hours and it'll be really carbonated. And at that time I'm going to turn the CO2 down to, I think around 7 pounds is just great for the pressure. Just adjust the CO2 so it comes out of the tap at the rate that you want. That's about it. You couldn't really see the carbonation before, so I'm going to give this another try. Well, if you can see that it is carbonated, could go a little bit more, probably another 12 hours, but it's very tolerable now, and the sweetness is just the way I like it. I'd say it's a little sweeter than you'd get at a fast food restaurant. So, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and good luck with putting those grocery stores out of business.